The trial got heated halfway into the morning. Dr. Paul White alluded to one-on-one conversations. That's right, we're live in Pasadena, where 4-year-old Josh Egan and his father were last seen. Take a look at this picture. The LA riots were really a turning point in LAPD history. At factory farms, turkeys like the ones behind me are forced to grow at a rapid rate. If a 7-pound baby grew at the same rate as these turkeys, within 18 weeks, it would be 1,500 pounds. Thank you, Sean Patrick. We're here live outside of the House of Blues where Obama just arrived. Although some have been waiting since yesterday afternoon, many are grateful for the opportunities that this wristband will provide. Susan Mullins of the Neighborhood Association refused to be interviewed, but she did tell me that the gate is an effort to keep the partying out. Family and friends of the students killed gathered today to remember the students here at a candlelight vigil behind me near Tommy Trojan. The ones behind me signify that some have heeded the orders and left the encampment, but others just haven't left. They are standing their ground. Patricia Hopkins has been in line since noon yesterday, hoping for dental care.
It's very important because I live downtown Skid Row.
She's not the only one. For thousands of people in line, this wristband is a step to a healthier life.
If I don't have the right things to take care of my diabetes, I could die.
Many are willing to be patient.
If I had to wait 10 hours in line, I will wait 10 hours in line just for that. I want to be around for my son to grow up.
If they have to choose between feeding their children or paying the rent or having a painful tooth taken care of, the tooth is going to come third. So when there's an opportunity to get that taken care of, they're here.
Care Now USA is running the clinic. They expected the crowds because health care is expensive. There will be 9,000 volunteers at the health clinic.
Economics are so bad now, and many people do not have health insurance, dental.
It is this area behind me where thousands of Angelinos are getting their wristbands for a free healthcare clinic later this week. Although some have been waiting since yesterday afternoon, many are grateful for the opportunities that this wristband will provide. LA County Supervisor Mark Ridley Thomas worked with Care Now to set up the clinic.
It's a wonderful thing to be able to help the uninsured and the underinsured.
And volunteers are enthusiastic to help.
I'm really thrilled to be doing it.
It's great. It refreshes the soul.
And brings a smile to patients like Patricia Hopkins. Jillian Angeline, ATVN. The encampment at City Hall should be cleared away after police urged city protesters to clear out of the park. But it's not. The LAPD is hoping for voluntary compliance.
We certainly support their First Amendment right to protest all they want. It's just that living in a chunk of real estate in a small part of the city, or in a part of the city that's this small with that many people, is really not sustainable.
About 100 officers did move protesters off the street early this morning, and 4 people were arrested, but it has been quiet ever since.
It's definitely successful considering the raid didn't happen last night.
Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa has supported the movement up until now.
He has said over and over again, we are not the New York or the Oakland Police Department, and whatever happens in this occupation, we don't want it to look like that.
But for a city that put out a declaration supporting the Occupy movement in early October, protesters say kicking them out is hypocritical.
Didn't have a problem with them, they didn't have a problem with us, and then more and more people were starting coming out locally who know what's going on here in Los Angeles.
Protesters filed court papers asking a federal judge to stop police from evicting occupiers. The ones behind me signify that some have heeded the orders and left the encampment, but others just haven't left. They are standing their ground.
I'm taught not to retreat. I'm taught to stand my ground and stand for what I believe in and fight for what I believe in.
Social workers and others are working to provide shelter for the homeless people living in the encampment.
Referrals, finding people that might be able to help those who are going through temporary situation.
Protesters are hopeful that this will be their home for a little longer. It will take at least a few days for a judge to make a decision on the filed papers. Jillian Angeline, ATVN. These 10-week-old turkeys are the lucky ones. They're not spending the holidays on the dinner table. Farm Sanctuary is saving turkeys from what they call holiday slaughter.
These animals can be ambassadors for the millions on factory farms because we couldn't save them all, but they can be ambassadors and help, their stories can help other people understand what really goes on factory farms.
10 billion land animals are kept in inhumane conditions and slaughtered every year. Some confined to only 3 square feet of space each. But Farm Sanctuary gives these creatures a life beyond the knife.
Like youngsters, they have tended to like to stay together, so you can see that they are starting to form their social networks and their social bonds.
It hasn't always been fun and games for the kids, as they're called on the farm. 25 of them were left anonymously at the gate of Farm Sanctuary.
And we do believe that they were rescued from, we said that they're industry birds, that they were rescued from industrialized farm because some of them have the tips of the beaks taken off.
Debaking is a common practice in factory farms, so turkeys don't injure each other in the cramped conditions.
They do that with a microwave or a hot blade, 1 to 3 days old, no anesthesia.
And the rescued birds are even still feeling the effects of factory farm breeding practices, namely in their eating habits.
So we do feed them some special food, and we do keep an eye on them to make sure that they're not growing too rapidly, because it's actually hard for their hearts to handle that rapid growth.
At factory farms, turkeys like the ones behind me are forced to grow at a rapid rate. If a 7-pound baby grew at the same rate as these turkeys, within 18 weeks, it would be 1,500 pounds. That assessment comes from the Lancaster Farming Magazine, which promotes humane treatment of animals grown for food. Here on the farm, patrons want Americans to go vegan. But some Americans just cannot stomach that thought.
One day a year you have a turkey. That's my motto.
I think it's very important. It's American way.
Chefs like Pegger and meat market managers like Edelman rely on turkeys for their livelihood.
700-800 turkeys.
700-800 here.
Yeah.
Edelman sells these turkeys for $3.99 per pound. Now Pittman Farms offers a bit of a compromise: humane processing. The USDA said the processor has the best handling practices in California. In a statement to ATVN, manager Bob Wolf said, "We are very proud of the fact that we received a 100% rating for our animal welfare practices on turkey. All of our turkeys are raised as free range, which means they have complete access to the outside, so they are not kept in small cramped pens. This may be the best way to have our turkey and eat it too, but back on the farm, the answer is clear."
We believe that every animal is an individual, and as an individual, it has a right to a safe and healthy existence.
An existence for these kids finally filled with safety in the sanctuary. Jillian Angeline, ATVN.